Welcome, one, welcome all. I am Bridger, aka Mr. President, and today we're jumping back in to our second year in office, and we're going to take a quick overview of where we stand right now. So, we know that we have some events that are going to come back to bite us. We've got Japan clashing with China over disputed islands. So we need to try to remove all Chinese influence from Asia. I think we almost did that. There's one there right now, but we almost got rid of it, and then one more popped up from a different event. So that we have to work on. We have a major earthquake hitting Los Angeles. That is going to continue to cause us potentially continue to cause us problems where we have to spend more action points to avoid bad results. We've got rogue states ranks swell with new recruits. Currently a level 2 or 3 rogue state on the map. Bad stuff happens. We've got to keep the current rogue state, which is level 1, make sure it gets no bigger than that. And ideally, we need to crush it as fast as possible. So we've also got this one coming back where Korean War is going to pop off again, even though we just ended that war. So we have to try to push the Korean War down as best we can. And we've got, let's see, cyber theft of sensitive intelligence. We've got to increase our cybersecurity rating. We're certainly working on that. We've got the good one here, which is, companies investing in space technology. Chinese cyber attack disrupting the U.S. That one I don't think we can do anything about. And Russia using oil as a weapon in Europe. So we've got to remove Russian influence from Eastern Europe or the Eurozone, or we have to make sure our alignment is at least 6. So we've got our alignment at 6 in Eastern Europe, but our Russian influence is a bit more of a problem. So yeah, that's our current situation here. We haven't had the 2 cascading come up. Okay, the world situation that we have to deal with. We got to identify some problems. Terror group in the United States. We've got 2 of them. We got to deal with that. We got to deal with the Russian influence here in Eastern Europe. We've got a rogue state in the Middle East. We got to deal with that. I don't think we ever dealt with these military footprints. I think I skipped over that step. Yeah, we should have flipped these a lot. Oh, God. -1 regional security. +1 to highest terrorist group. Presumably that's the one that's not there. Place trending anti-US. That's annoying. -1 box of public approval. Yeah, so we should have done that at the end of the last round, and we skipped over that step by mistake. Then we return these to the cup, and we place new ones based on the U.S. troops in the area. However, there are no U.S. ground troops in these areas. I think we always get 2 of those counters here in Asia Pacific, though, because we've got the Marine Corps and we've got the Heavy Army that are stationed in this area permanently. And that is by design. So yeah, that's our starting situation here. We've got a level 4 terror group there we absolutely have to take care of before it turns into a rogue state. We've got a rogue state as well, a level 3 up here, a bunch more level 2s. I think I have that correct. Yeah, max is 4 in that area there. So meanwhile, we're doing very well domestically on these tracks here. We've got some opponents' stuff going on here that we'll have to deal with. We do have a decent mix of friends and enemies in Congress, though they're radicals, so it's going to make it harder to keep bipartisan cooperation. Unfortunately, our party relations are also really bad. I'm going to try to improve this in one of our early actions, and I'm going to try to deal with this in one of our early actions, and I'm going to try to deal with this in one of our early actions. So that's the situation. So let's see how it unfolds from here. Let me just check the chat, make sure that nobody's asking any questions. All right, moving on. Let's determine how many action points we start the year with. Well, we default by getting 15. Damn, we ended with 3. That's annoying. Oh well. We default by getting 15 action points. Then we're going to get an extra 4 because our president is efficient. So we go up to 19. And then our cabinet effectiveness gives us another 4, which gets us up to 23. So that's a decent number to start with. Like having a high cabinet effectiveness. That is great. We don't have disorganized. We don't have the amazing chief of staff. All right, now we have to apply any effects gained from being president, including boosting of an ally, right? Yes, we're an ally's best friend. So we +1 to an ally's level per turn. So this is the moment we do this. Now we have so many terror groups here. I absolutely want to boost India because they will give us some free rolls that even if they go bad, we don't get blamed because it's a joint task force. So next we get -2 DRM to our State of the Union. We got to remember that. And we get, unfortunately, -2 public approval and -1 relations with Congress because we lack social graces. We're making some gaffes. So -2 public approval, -1 relations with Congress. Okay. So we're done with applying those effects. Oh, no, we're not, because oh, I forgot that we got to use this card to get a free intel gathering or raid with a -1 DRM. Dang it. That's frustrating. It doesn't say that we're restricted on a location either. So I guess we could use that anywhere, technically. Let's just use it in the Asia Pacific against this group. Let's say that we used it against them, and it would have eliminated that terror group. We actually got 2 of those last time, but I don't want to retcon too much. We'll just take the hit. All right. We'll need to remember that during our focused national intelligence location. In fact, oh, I thought I put an emphasis on getting cyber warfare up, but I guess I did not. I thought that I put a DARPA thing, but maybe that, did I get that from a separate, yeah, I think that from a separate event. I intended to at some point put a DARPA counter on cyber warfare, and I didn't, so we're screwed. All right, so on turn 1, key cabinet member gains experience. Roll a d6 for them. On a 1 to a 2, they gain experience. So let's see. One of these guys already gave experience, right? It was Raul Sanchez. So let's go for our chief of staff, who will become much better. So roll a d6 on a 2. Nope, not quite. Optionally replace 1 cabinet member. Our cabinet members are actually quite good. I don't want to replace any of them. Now we get to roll a free roll on the cabinet improvement table. And I don't think we get any DRMs here. As note that you may also have to roll on the cabinet drama table. Oh, whenever you roll a 6+ on this table. So -1 the domestic value of your chief of staff. But plus half the number of tensions. You know, I think we forgot to do that section. We were just using the master action, corral the cabinet, which gives you different DRMs. Cabinet improvement table, D2, and apply the results. No, that has the same DRMs, so I was messing that up. So, you know, we had things that went in our favor because we forgot them as well. So that's good. All right, so this is a -1 for our chief of staff's domestic value and a +0 because it's half of the tensions value. So we roll that D6, and it's a 4, which is no change. C'est la vie. Next, we're going to, let's see, set focus regions for this. So check your strategic capabilities for both cyber warfare and strategic recon/intel. If both of these values are greater than or equal to both of China's and Russia's values, you get 2 focused intel tracks. Excellent. So we get a second one of these focused intel pieces. And I think we definitely want to use it in the Middle East where the rogue state and all these other terror groups are. I kind of tempted to want to use it in Africa as well, but we've got a lot of terror groups here, and at least we have a friend here that can help us. So I think that is going to be helpful. Plus, it helps with these civil wars. Africa, I did put a Spec Ops and Intel down there, so that should help deal with the terror groups down there. All right, so we've set where we're focusing our national intelligence collection for this turn. Now we're starting with U.S. special activations. And that begins with the State of the Union, which I've actually never done before. I've only played Year 1 twice so far. All right, so we're going to make a roll, and I think the only DRM is that we have the Orator attribute. So I believe that's where we're going to go there. And, yep, that's it. So we're just rolling. Oh, and we check the sum of those 4 ratings. Relations with Congress, media relations, public approval, and presidential prestige. So relations with Congress is 7, 7, 14 plus 8 is going to be 22. So we're rolling on almost the best column. Damn, how can you do that? Public approval. Oh, I missed presidential prestige, 22 plus 9. So we are on the best column. Excellent. So now we're rolling the die and subtracting 2. That's a 5. Plus 2 public approval. Apparently our speech is doing well. Plus 3 action points. It's doing very well. Plus 1 relations with Congress. Excellent. Place a new bill in -1 box of Congress. Now, what if there is already 5 bills in Congress? Your speech spurs immediate action. You may immediately make 1 or 2 free actions of any type before proceeding to the next segment. We also got that. That's weird. The word bills doesn't come up at all in the governing index. Maybe it's under pending bills? I don't know where else to find it. Legislative segment. 22 under legislation. I know there's a limit. But I don't know where it tells us about that. Not in the governing manual, people. Why would it put it there? It gives you the full legislative segment, but it does not tell you introduce new bills. It actually doesn't have a limit there. It only mentions the limit in passing in a separate area. Actually, it's only in the flip book, as I recall. Let me see if I can find that example. Because you can never have more than 5 bills in the pending bills section, you'll sometimes want to remove a bill or 2 that are lower priority to make room for higher priority bills. That's under the Introduce New Bills section. But it's not listed in the governing manual at all. Nor is it listed here. So what I'm going to do is roll a die 1 through 5 to see which bill gets kicked out by the new one. So we'll roll a d6 and ignore 6s. So 5 means education reform is being kicked out, and I get to put a new bill in the -1 box. Well, I believe our priorities include education reform, so we will put education reform in the -1 box. Our bill instead of theirs. So then it's also saying your speech spurs immediate action. You may immediately make 1 or 2 free actions of any type before proceeding to the next section. So that is beautiful. I think one of those actions has to be reducing Russian influence, because we will lose the game if we don't get rid of this. This is how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they are 2 away from just simply winning the game, and I don't want to take that chance. So Let's go ahead and find our diplomatic master actions here. Attempt to remove Chinese or Russian influence counter in a region. Are there regional crises 0? No, we can't do that here. So let's go ahead and reduce regional crises here. Maybe we can attempt. Oh my God. That is the one I forgot to fix. Sorry about that. Bada bing. Do not disturb. 2 hours. Done. Now, maybe we should try to mediate a civil war here. Is that an option that we can do normally, or is that only a UN option? Broker or offer peace. That's the one I'm looking for. We're going to try to do it with a civil war. And we get a -1 from the diplomatic rating of our Secretary of State. So let's find the Civil War chart. Here it is, WD3. And we're going to try to mediate this civil war. So we roll a D10 and we subtract 1, and we're hoping for low numbers. Yes, 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 yes. That is a permanent peace. Remove the Civil War ceasefire counter. Decrease regional crises by 1 box. That's a twofer. That's what we wanted to see. So we've hopefully brokered a permanent peace there in the Balkans. I believe that's what that's representing. Possibly it might be Ukraine with the whole Donbass thing. Either way, we lowered regional crises with that. We're going to do another action to lower regional crises. This is just a standard crisis relief action. So it is on a -1 D10, 5. Means it lowers by 1 box. All right, so now we're set up to try to remove influence in the future. We can only remove influence if our alignment is 7 or 8, or regional alignment is 6, and there are no regional crises. So that was our 2 free actions from that. Next, we're moving on to, economic insistence, the state of the economy impact. So we can add a trending pro-US counter in one of the 8 world regions. I think we want to add that in the places where we are lowest right now. Let's try to hold the Middle East here. So we'll add that there for 1. Or improve an ally relationship by 1 level. Let's do that here also. Israel gets bumped back up. And every other ally is still very close. We'll have to spend some actions to bump this one back up down here. But not quite yet. All right. So we did 2 of those. Now we get to apply the other effects of our good economy, which is 3 public approval, 2 action points, and 1 relations with Congress. But our relations with Congress overfloweth. So we're doing real well on that front. Next, we move on to improving strategic capabilities. And that is very important for us right now. If the state of the economy is 5 or higher, we get to choose 2 different capabilities and increase them. Well, we're definitely going to choose cyber warfare. We're going to do that right now. SecDef military rating provides a -DRM on any non-DARPA roll. So it's going to be a 1 to 5, so it's a 1 to 6. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Get cyber. Get cyber. Fuck. Let's see. Can we do 2 different capabilities? That's terrible. Okay. Let's do strategic missile defense then. I think it's probably important to keep up with the Ruskies there. Also a failure. Now we're going to do the DARPA one, which is a 1 to 7 success rating. Wow. We are terrible at this. That is just awful. Now we get to set the POTUS cabinet focus. First, we get to remove 1 tension counter. And then we get to choose the focuses here. So relations with Congress are pretty good. The economy is quite good. Public pressure is actually quite good. Addressing a domestic crisis might help us here. Cabinet effectiveness is also quite good. Honestly, I'm not sure I want to change this. Except to say maybe putting public press relations a little bit higher. Because we've got these terror groups in the U.S., and I'm still a little nervous about that. Let's see. Master action, domestic. This is the only way that you can deal with, like, terrorist groups in the continental U.S. Track a terror target here. No bonus. Raid a terror target. No bonus. So this is probably shouldn't be my number one. I think cabinet effectiveness is probably my number one. I'm just going to look at my domestic charts here, because I've highlighted some of them that give you a bonus. So stimulating the economy gives you a bonus. Addressing a domestic crisis, relations with Congress. Yeah, none of those things will help. So it really comes down to, man, I don't know. We're doing well in everything. Well, if this one is already 0, we still get something for it. So let's go there. This one is possible to max out, but media always seems to fall over time because of this thing right here. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that at number 2. This one will give us a bonus almost no matter what. So that's good. This is a good order. I'm going to stick with this. Next, one action for POTUS and each cabinet member. So let's start with the Secretary of State, who's actually going to get two actions here. And they're going to attempt to deal with this Russian influence now that we've gotten crises down. And we have to make a regional alignment check. Oh, it's just 1 to 6, actually. Got it. Sorry, not the Eurozone. We're trying to do this to Russia. Delete. They're still going to make a base here, though. I'm not going to be able to stop them. And I think when they make a base, you cannot convert that back to get rid of it. That's the main problem. And you can only do that once per activation segment. So the Secretary of State gets another role. And I think we might want it to be a trade role. Probably a trade with the Eurozone. It's more likely that we'll get increases to stability there. So why don't we work on a trade agreement? So one action, we can spend up to 2 AP for each step below to get a -1 DRM. Let's not spend it on this first one. Make a regional alignment check in that region. So we just need a 6 or less. Nope. That would have failed. Okay, so that was our second one. Now we can think about our presidential action. I think using the bully pulpit to rally support for against a bill is a good idea for us to use this because A, public approval is 60% or higher, and we have the orator track here, ability, attribute, and bipartisan cooperation is in the rightmost box. All of those things are true. And all we're trying to do is move one of our bills to the left, I think. So let's go ahead and do that. We get -1, 2, 3 on the roll. It's a D6. So it's automatic, is it not? So education reform is now higher up on the list. That was the only one we get. Now we get 2 domestic for our chief of staff. Andy Lewis. Oops, I'm rolling dice here for no reason. I think we need to do party fundraising and support, which costs us 1 AP because our party is so bad. We can only use that once per segment. So we're going to go ahead and spend the AP and increase our party relations. Next turn, it won't cost us an action point because our party relations are no longer in the toilet. Now I think we should use our domestic action to track a terror target to try and deal with that situation right here. Having even one terror group in the U.S. is probably very bad. That's my determination. So, did I? Yeah, I did leave address a domestic crisis there. All right, but anyway, we're going to track a terror target. Make a Homeland Security check. Okay. Homeland Security is a 7. We got a 5. So, because we did that, move the terror group 1 box right on the gathering box if it wasn't there. Oh, you get to launch an immediate raid because it's happening in the U.S. You don't have to prepare for it. So as soon as we get it to here, we immediately get to raid the thing, which is great. Okay. In the meantime, That was our first domestic. Oh, sorry, 2 domestics. So now we have to do military options. I think we want to deal with this level 4 in Africa. That seems to be the highest priority for me. So military. Actually, what we really need to do is request rapid capabilities, but that is later. That is way later. So direct intel gathering ops against 2 different terror groups. So we'll do them both. Actually, it doesn't matter which region they're in. We can do 2 different regions. For each terror group, roll a d10. We're getting a -1 if there's U.S. intel advisors and -1 if there's that. Okay, so we want to get a 5 or less here in Africa. We're choosing this 4 group. Son of a bitch. And then I think we'll choose this 2 group here, which will be a 1 to 6. Or 1 to 6, right? Yeah, 1 to 4 is a normal success, so a 1 to 6 is correct. Either way, this is now in target fixed. So that was our first action for military. We're going to do it again. We're going to try to get this group here again. 1 to 5. They really are hard to find. And then we could do a terror group here, which is 1 to 6. That is also successful. All right, so things are progressing a little bit better. That's all of our actions. Now we have to determine if Russia or China is acting. 1 to 5 is Russia acting. All right. Let's look through this. First step. Russia auto victory. No. We know now they have only 5, 6 influence anywhere on the board, it looks like. So we're not doing too bad there. So now we continue. We have to determine whether Russia's posture changes. Jesus Christ, we should have reduced their tensions. Oops, no. We want to flip that over. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Uh-oh. If currently posture 1 and the sum of tensions is 5 or more, and Russia relations with the U.S. is 1 or 2, flip Russia's posture to 2. Yep, that was a mistake. Should have dealt with the Russians a little bit with some of those actions we had up front. Well, we'll have time to do it with China, at least. We'll have a summit with them or something and hope to reduce those tensions. I mean, the good news is they probably would have gone to posture 2 anyway. Hello, Uvi. The good news also is that Russia's economy is the toilet, so they don't get many actions. And then they also have these -1 AP counters, and they have sanctions on them. So they're kind of impotent this phase, but I still don't want them to have this posture 2. That still makes them worse. All right. Russia's relationship with the U.S. may be affected. You don't say. So they are trending anti-U.S. on top of all this because of the tensions counters. Then we immediately remove all tension counters and redraw half. So they have 3, 6, 7. So we remove this and we draw 4. So that's something for us to deal with before things get better. Next, improve Russian strategic capabilities. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, resolve the first condition that applies. Good. Okay, so now they're going to make 3 attempts to improve their strategic capabilities. First, they're going to pick some place that they're 2 behind us. So they're going to try to increase it here on a 1 to a 5. Damn you, Russia. I needed you to get stuck on that track a couple of times in a row. But no. Now they do cyber warfare and strategic missile defense. We roll to see which ones they prioritize. Even is cyber. Okay, strategic missile defense, they will roll, and 1 to 5, they miss, and they miss. Okay, lucky there. We're going to have to get DARPA working on this stuff soon. Okay, now they attempt to conduct espionage. They get to do 2 times, so for each time we apply a DRM and roll, the DRM being we're tied on cyber warfare. -2 if any ally relationship is exchanged. No. Okay, so there's just a flat out roll here. 2 rolls. A 3 is steel technology. Identify a random strategic capability and increase their stuff. 3 is naval forces. Oops, wrong counter. I'm still looking for the Soviet Union flag counter there. Okay. And then they roll again. Oh, they steal more technology. This time it's 10. So they get strategic recon and intel gathering. Okay. So, could have been worse. Now they're going to attempt to improve the Russian economy. -3 if there are multilateral sanctions, but +3 if there's multilateral sanctions, but +1 for every Russian influence counter in Eurozone, Eastern Europe, and or South Central Asia. So they get +6, but it's a +3 max. -3 max. They get -6 and they get +3. So it's a -3 to their roll. That is a success. They improve their economy. Actually, no, I'm sorry. They get a trending marker. Up. There we go. Actually, hang on. Were they already at a worsening marker? Yes, they were at a worsening marker. So the best that happens is it goes to neutral. Lucky for us. Now we calculate the number of actions. So state of the relationship +1. This is modified by the bot. Oh, I forgot. That's +2. So they're going to get 4 +2 -2. So that's good news. These go away. So they only get a total of 4 actions. That's not too bad. So the first one, if there are at least 5 total terror groups in Central South Asia, terror group levels, which is true, there is definitely a lot there. Use 1 Russian action to remove 1 terror level from the largest group in the region. Excellent. Good job. This represents Russia dealing with internal dissent among ethnic, political, and religious opposition in the stands. Next, quell rising internal dissent. On a 1 to a 4, they would spend a point on their internal nonsense, but they did not. So we said they had 4 actions. They now have 3 remaining. All right. Possible Syrian intervention, no. U.S. regional alignment. Oh, that's a different thing. Yep, so next is they've got 3 to spend on these other things. Cyber attack time. Cyber attack, people. So we're at parity with them. Let's see what their target is. Roll a d10. 4 is discredit the U.S. president. A 7 is a success. Uses 1 action point and decreases public approval by 1 box. Well, AP is presidential action point, I think is what it's trying to say. And lowers U.S. approval by 1 box. All right, and because they're at posture 2, they're going to make a 3 attack. So here's the second attack. 5. Target EU cohesion. Success. Increases regional crisis in both Eurozone and Eastern Europe. Ugh. Drumming up that anti-immigrant sentiment. All right, they got 1 more. A 3 is U.S. political cohesion, and they fail. Yes, they failed. Woo! Got lucky there. All right, now they have 2 actions left. And we're going to spend 1 here. So they're going to have 1 action left after this. Initiate multi-domain, low-intensity gray zone attacks to expand Russia's influence in neighboring regions. Attempt to expand Russia's influence. Attempt the first region where the conditions are met. If no region, if any regions have 3 or more Russian influence counters, create a Russian base. In any one region where there are currently 3 or more Russian influence counters, remove 3 counters and replace them with a base. Immediately decrease the relations with Congress track by 1 and the public approval by 2. All right, 1 step at a time here. Okay, hang on. 1, 2, delete, and replace with base. So that's bad. Then, relations with Congress goes down by 1. Public approval goes down by 2. And then, trending anti-US counter on Russia's relations. Bad news, buddy. It can't get any worse. Okay. Now they got one left. Are they going to compromise to facilitate removal of sanctions? They're going to try. -1 if Russia's posture is 2. -2 if using missiles or defense capabilities is 2 or more higher than the US. That is not true. +1 if Eastern Europe stability is 6 or higher. Not quite. +1 if Eurozone stability is 7 or higher and Eastern Europe. Well, no. Nope. +1 if this is the last Russia action available, and +2 if it's a multilateral sanctions. So this is +3 to the roll. Come on, big numbers. That's a 7. Compromise achieved. Remove 1 Russia influence counter in Eastern Europe. Good. Good riddance. Then remove all sanctions if there are no Russian counters in Eastern Europe, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we got to get more sanctions on them next turn, because that's helpful. Forces them to spend their action here dealing with the sanctions. So we'll consider that next time. I think, is that a diplomatic action? Can we just do that as a diplomatic action? It's on the back. I don't look at that very often. Attempt to impose sanctions. There's actually no reason not to do this. The main reason not to do this is because it hurts your relations with Russia. But if your relations are already in the toilet, definitely do it, right? We got to do that next time. The sanctions were great. All right, that is the end of their turn. That was their last action. So we got extra lucky there. Gulp. Okay. Next, any 3 actions. So, add to cup when Russia moves to posture 2. See, I thought that was the case, but I didn't see an instruction to do that in the section where they moved to posture 2. So I think we are supposed to add this to the cup. That's annoying. All right, so we've got 3 actions with which to deal with something. I think we need to deal with this terror group before something happens here. So we'll immediately choose to increase our... we're going to use our intel. Military action here. D10, and we have a -1, so we need a 1 to 5 to move this guy into the gathering box. Good. Then we can choose another terror group. We're going to choose this one in Central South Asia. 1 to 6, actually. Got it. And then we'll do that. Actually, let's do a raid on this terror group, because this also is a situation where we have too many terror groups. So, conducting a raid is... So you can do 2 drone strikes on target terror groups in a region. And the benefit of doing drone strikes is that you can do it either in the locating box or in the main box here, the target fixed box. The disadvantage of the drone strikes is that they are less precise. Let's put it that way. So you can do 2 of them, but I feel like it's more of a desperation move, because actually it's a lower risk result, right? Because if you fail miserably on that one, strike is ineffective and causes civilian casualties. I think it's between -2 public approval. If airstrike, -1 UN. You apparently have to choose between an airstrike or a drone strike. Airstrikes are more powerful. I never actually looked at the airstrike or drone strike. Oh, okay. Airstrikes are more powerful, but you have a chance to lose the aircraft with the pilot missing, which adds a bunch of negative things. Got it. So, I think we're going to try for this airstrike thing, because I don't know that we have enough time to worry about. We're going to first do an intel on this level 4 guy with a 1 to 5. Yes. Okay, he's in the locating box now. So this is action number 2, by the way. We're doing locating one more time. And I can't use it on continental US, which is disappointing. We're also going to locate these terror groups here. So we're going to be locating here. Okay, that didn't do it. We needed a 1 to 5. Okay, now we're going to do an airstrike in Africa. Can we do that without USAF counter there? +1 if no USAF is in the region. Okay, no. We're going to just do a drone strike. We're going to do airstrikes here and here because we have USAF there. So we're going to try that and see how it goes. So we have -1 if there's an intel counter in the region. Yes. -1 if there's a focused national intel counter in the region. Yes. -1 if the terror group is in the target fixed box of the intel track. That's true in all cases. -3 to this. And not enough influence to matter. So here's the first roll in the Middle East. A 1 or less. Surgical strike kills key terror leaders. Survivors scatter. Decrease the terror group by 1 level. But if it's an airstrike, add 1 to the terror group losses. So that eliminates this one completely. Good deal. +1 public approval if the target was level 1 or 2. I'll take it. And move the terror group to the gathering box. Nope. Okay, so now same thing over here with a minus, what did I say, -3? Excellent. Goodbye. Goodbye. We got a lot of terror groups popped up at the end of last turn, and that helps considerably in wiping those 2 off the map. I'm still really worried about this one, but I did not have enough actions to deal with them when I missed the roll on the first thing there. So, yeah. All right, let's see what's next. Drawing a random thing. Good times! Let the good times roll, baby! Come on now. What could go wrong without the good times? I don't remember what the good times track is. I think it's near the back of this book. It is near the back of this book. Excellent. It's just a straight up D10 roll. What could we do? An 8. Host a summit with major U.S. multinational CEOs, CFOs, the Fed chairman, key executive, and legislative budget office. Okay. Hammer out an agreement that allows the U.S. corporations to move overseas cash home at lower than normal tax rates. It's an everyone has their say, no one has their way discussion that builds understanding and trust between business and government. The new rates give neither side everything they wanted, but all are satisfied that they pave the way for renewed domestic use of business capital. Yeah, right. Okay. Place an economy improving counter on the SOE track, +1 relations with Congress. Okay. Excelente. They're bipartisan again. And +1 public approval. Good times, baby. There's only, by the way, there's only 2 out of 22 counters in this entire, 2 out of 21 counters in this entire cup, right? This is a cup of counters. 2 of them don't have a plus. So the way that the rules are worded, such that, oh yeah, and if you draw a plus, then you keep going, but if you don't, you should stop. That is the bad way to put it, because the default should be always draw 3, but if you happen to draw one with a stop sign, you stop. It's frustrating. Anyway, next up, draw 2 crisis cards. What do we got here? This doesn't look good. Mass corruption in Eastern Europe governments give rise to mafia, terror, and chaos. No, -1 stability in Eastern Europe. Why? Why? Roll a D10. A 3. +1 regional crisis in Eastern Europe and place a level 1 terror group there. Oops, not 2 of them, just 1 of them. All right, I guess that's not the worst result that could have come from this, and it's discarded. Somewhere, by the way, in this pile is a new White House exceptional resource card. So we might draw it at any time. But instead, oil prices spiked to record highs. Americans outraged at higher than ever gas prices. +1 domestic crisis. Shazbot. -2 public approval. Move energy independence public priority counter to the number 1 box. Okay, then everything is still on this docket at least. Place a worsening economy counter on for both Eurozone and China, but not for us. Improving counter for Russia. Good. China needs to get reined in there. If China's at posture 1 in relations with U.S. is 3 or greater, which I think is true, yep. China requests increased purchases of natural gas and clean energy tech and equipment from the U.S. If you agree to the sale, place an economy improving counter on the U.S. and China's SOE tracks. Place a trending pro-U.S. counter on China's relations with the U.S. +1 legacy point. Yeah, I think we've got to. So that'll slow the stem of the tide there. Economy improving counter on both of our tracks now. All right. So that wasn't terrible. That was number 2. Now we roll again. We get 2 more. Number 1. Somalian terrorists sabotage Chinese rail project in Kenya. China sends security forces. +1 to regional crisis in Africa. Oh, boy. Increase a level 3, 2, or 1 terror group in Africa by 1 level. Thank God it didn't increase the 4. Oops, not delete, not delete. Increase it to level 3. Then roll a die on a 1 +1 regional crisis in Africa. That could have been worse. Oh, good. I like this card. 9/11 anniversary speech spurs an outpouring of patriotism and cooperation. Roll a die. A 5 is -1 domestic crisis. Beautiful. Beautiful. Excellent. That was getting very worrying over there. All right. So now we're done with those. We move up to here. And we have to find out which group of allies is acting. Group B, I'm hoping that doesn't include the Gulf states because I want to improve their relationship with me before they get to act. But let's find out. Group B, UK, Japan, and North Korea. All right. The UK, oh, it has 2 tension counters. That sucks. We're going to get 2 actions with them. What makes the most sense here? They get to act in normally the Eurozone or Eastern Europe, I believe. Yeah. I think we need to deal with stability here, really. So they're going to make a couple stability rolls. They can only make 1 stability roll, actually. They're going to make a stability roll on Eastern Europe because that's really bad. 1 to a 4 increases it. Yes. Cool as a cucumber. Let's go ahead and try to... Does the UK have a track? No, it does not have a track over here. So we don't have to de-escalate the conflict. How about we try to reduce regional crises in Eastern Europe because apparently that seems like it's going to get worse before it gets better. Success. Okay, now we check their unilateral situation. Hang on a tick. The sanctions that I rolled for Russia should have probably been involved. When do you flip the sanctions counters? I know you do it. I can't remember when. Ah, c'est la vie. I guess I do not, guess you don't need to do that. I thought it was a thing that counteracted the tensions at some point. Oh well, I'm not going to spend too much time worrying about it right now. Because we're streaming. So, anyway, the UK has a +1 there. +1 per Russian influence in the Eurozone. So it looks like is the Russia NATO is not greater than 1. So we dodged that bullet. All right, so it's only a +1 to their unilateral roll. which is a 3. Stabilize, -1 to regional crisis in Eurozone or Eastern Europe. Let's bring Eastern Europe down to 0. That seems good. Okay, that was an effective turn for the UK. Beautiful. Next, Japan is acting, and Japan is very close, so they're going to get 2 actions for us. Oh, you know what? The sanctions definitely apply when you do North Korea and when you do Iran, but maybe it doesn't apply to the big countries. It's built into their other charts. That's what it is. That's what it is. Okay. So anyway, Japan is acting, and we have stability maxed out here. So that's amazing. What else needs to be done in this region? There's no terror groups. We don't need to stabilize it. No allies are involved in a war. They could de-escalate. Let's see. Japan, China. No, it's already at the lowest escalation possible. I mean, it could remove one of their tension counters on a 1 to 7. But I think the humanitarian aid to any region is more valuable. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and do it to the region that is needing it the most. How about Africa? Success. And then let's do Central South Asia. Success on a 1 to an 8. Okay, now we're going to flip over their tensions counters. No effect. Beautiful. And then they redraw 1 for next time. And I forgot to redraw these here. 1 for next time. And because they have no tensions, current conflict status value of Japan. So they get +0 to their roll, which is a 2. Dialogue. Decrease China-Japan conflict by 1 box and remove a tension counter from each country. That is great. 1 less tension on China, which I do really want to deal with. Make them... I do not want them to go to posture 2. They are way too effective to be at posture 2. That can't be allowed. We're going to decrease tensions. We're going to increase relations. We're going to make sure that they stay happy with us. Okay, so that was Japan's turn. Next, we got to activate North Korea, baby. But they have -1 AP, which I think means they skip their roll, but it doesn't say it here. No, why would it say that? Yeah, it simply doesn't say it. After rolling, blah, 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 North Korea is at war. But I swear, you know where I know that is? That is hiding in the war results against North Korea. Place a -1 AP counter. This will force them to skip their next rogue or ally section. But it doesn't say that in the relevant section, damn it. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and add it. If -1 AP skip and remove. There. So they skip this step, which is great. But the fact that I had to look for that in a completely different area is garbage time. All right, so after North Korea, check unstable states. So in this case, unstable states includes places in Eurozone and Eastern Europe. There are no unstable states there, so we don't have to check. Okay, we're done with that. We're going to the UN, I believe. No, not the UN. We're going to... Oh, cabinet focus. We're going to need some UN actions here soon, though. So cabinet focus means we go down this priority list. So we're going to roll a D6, hoping for 1 to 5. We got it. -1 to domestic crisis. See, we didn't even need to do that. And then we're going to roll on here 1 to 4. Success. We're going to take +1 to public relations and +1 to media. Public approval, I should say. Then number 3 is cabinet effectiveness. 1 to a 3 is a success. And then we roll again. +3 presidential action points. We have so many action points this round. It's insanely good. I don't think we can win the Peace Prize again, though. That's the problem. All right. Next is number 4, improve relations with Congress, which actually missed, but it doesn't matter because we're maxed out. 5, it succeeded, and we're already maxed out there, too. 6, decrease 1 terror group in the U.S. by 1 level. If none, +1 to Homeland Security. Come on, 1. Nope, we didn't get it. Okay. Is what it is. At the end of the segment, remove 1 tensions marker. That's the only thing that happens. Okay, so we're done with that. -1 media relations. We just got up there. Dang it. Then we get 2 domestic actions before the legislative segment. One of them is going to be increasing our party relations so that we can have more friends. The other one is going to be using our presidential bully pulpit to try to get support of a bill. So we have -1 from public approval, -1 from orator, and -1 from bipartisan cooperation in the box. None of these other things apply. So we're -3 to this D6 roll, which is, let me, it's a little bigger too so we can see more. There we go. Which is automatically a success, actually. I should have known. So on that, for the bill, move it 1 to the left. If you're against the bill, move it 1 to the right. So we're going to be for solving a lingering domestic issue, I think. Or maybe we want to be against their cybersecurity bill or their tax reform bill. The cybersecurity bill, that's the one I don't want them to pass, I think. No, let's get the lingering domestic. We'll go up 1 there. That seems like the right thing. It takes a lot to get these bills moving. Really, having friends in Congress is the better option here. So now we're going through the legislative segment, and I'm getting out the flip book to go through that. So first we have to determine opposition and support for the pending bills. Total separately the sum of the legislative amounts. We've got 3 and 2 is 5 versus 2 for the enemy. Then subtract the total rating of your congressional opponents. Treat results greater than 3 or less than -3 as 3 and -3 respectively. If the result is positive, you may move that number of bills in 1 box in either direction. So I'm going to do this bill 1, and then I'm going to do cybersecurity 2, and then I'm going to do tax reform 3. I don't want their bills to pass. So now attempt to pass pending bills. The number of bills we're going to pass is included here. If you control both houses of Congress, you can choose which bill. We get to see who chooses first. Doesn't matter. Then alternate between parties until you've made the indicated number of attempts. They always choose the easiest one to pass, but I'm guessing they're going to choose randomly between these two. So actually, tax reform is on the public priorities here. So I think they would, it's actually also, so is cybersecurity. I'm going to bet that they choose the one that's higher priority, and if not, then randomly. So they're going to go ahead and try to pass tax reform. That is at a +1, and they need a 1 to 3 normally. So this is going to be requiring a 1 to 2, and they got it. Bastards. All right, now we have to determine the quality of the bill. And for that, I need to open up another chart. Here we go. So we roll a D6, -1 to improve the quality if the bipartisan cooperation is way up here, which it is. So D6 -1, okay. It is a landmark bill. They've passed a landmark cybersecurity bill. Bastards. I'm going to have to sign that, and they're going to get the credit. All right. So I do get 1 legacy point for passing a landmark bill. That was my opponent's. If it was my bill, then I would get 2 legacy points. Instead, let's see, cybersecurity. We gain +1 cyber strategic security capability. Beautiful. And +3 public approval for the landmark bill. And we have it as a public priority here. which means we get a few more bonuses. Nope, actually we get nothing for it being in the number 5 slot. So never mind. Or number 4 slot, rather. Oh, why do I keep saying cybersecurity? It was tax reform that they were going to pass. I moved the wrong one over. All right, so not I wish it was cybersecurity, actually. That would have been nice. But instead, it's a landmark tax reform bill. So, all it does is increase our economy. Two public approval and 1 media relations. So we've maxed out our public approval. It is what it is. Okay. Then I get to try to pass one of my 2 bills. I do think I want to try to pass education, or expanding. Did I do? I moved the wrong one over. It was supposed to be NASA funding, because that's our promise. So this is a D6 with a -2. So anything but a 6. Fuck. Cursed, I tell you. Cursed. Okay. So we did that. Now we have to add legislative friend or opponents because they passed a landmark bill. Then a new opponent, a wild opponent, appears. Thanks. I'm glad he's a moderate. No, he's a radical because if it's a normal game, they're always radical. Okay. That's annoying. Now we do a how the sausage is made roll, which is on chart number D6. The good news is we've maxed out our relations with Congress and our bipartisan cooperation, which means we have -2 to this roll, and our public approval is high, so it's a -3 to this roll. Now, why do I remember another step here where if you pass an opponent's bill, each time you pass an opponent's legislation, -1 party relations and move bipartisan cooperation 1 to the right. Ugh. Well, bipartisan cooperation is doing well anyway. Okay, now we're rolling on this with a, what do we say, -2? No, it's only a -1 because, oh no, they're not outnumbering us. Okay. Yep, -2 it is. 1 for bipartisan cooperation, 1 for, or actually -3, public approval also. So a 5 down to a 2. If relations with Congress is 7 or greater, either move a bill of your choice, 1 box left in the pending bills area, or draw and add a new friend in Congress. I think I'm going to draw and add a new friend in Congress. Hello, Javier Cruz. Good deal. I'll take it. Now, that was our how the sausage is made roll. Now we have to introduce new bills. Remove all bills currently cannot be passed box. You may voluntarily move any of your bills currently in the box. Blah, blah, blah. Now we add up to 2 new bills. However, we can only add 1. So we roll a 6. Evens, we get to choose. Odds, they get to choose. Damn it. Of course they get to choose. Public priority job creation package is what they're going to pick. And it starts in the 0 box. Determine media result. Total, then compare the media result of all friends and opponents and move the public approval that number of boxes. Media 3 versus Media 3. It moves nowhere. No scandal investigations. Adjust bipartisan cooperation. Because we have too many radicals in Congress, this goes left 1 step. Legislative momentum. For each of your bills that was passed, you get a free action. But instead, I rolled really good on theirs and really bad on mine. Immediately draw. Okay, sorry, we're on to the next step. Draw 1 crisis chit. NSA, excellent. That is draw top 2 crisis cards, choose 1 and remove it permanently. And then the other one goes in the reshuffle pile. Pakistani scientists assist Iranian nuclear program. I mean, this is bad. The First Lady's devotion to social equality yields results and wins you public approval. Man, that one could have stayed in there. Okay. Instead, that goes in the reshuffle pile, and this goes away forever. I'll take it. And focus national intelligence situation here. So now we roll once for each situation. Our strategic recon / intel gathering is still higher than theirs. So we're still getting a -1 on that. So let's roll it for the Middle East first. Effects on terrorism. Move a level 3, 2, or 1 terror group into the locating box. All right. That's helpful. Then we roll over here at another -1. That's a 3. Move a level 3, 2, 1 into the locating box. Then move a different level 3, 2, 1 into the gathering box. Okay. We'll move this guy up. We'll move this guy here. But there's no war in the region, but there is a civil war in the region. You may choose to share intel with the UN in order to get them to intervene. Make an immediate broker peace talks roll in the UN and choose a civil war with an overall minus DRM -2. WM4. Okay, so we're rolling to hopefully lower this civil war here. Oh, success with UN peacekeepers. So beautiful. UN peacekeepers have been allowed to help with this civil war, which means there's a -2 to the ceasefire check next time. If this was a US initiated UN or something or other, then I'd get a UN goodwill counter. But I don't. Too bad. Okay, so that was useful. And now we can move those around if we want to. Honestly, I do want to. I want to move this down here because this will give me a +1 when I'm searching for this terror group here. And that one is very, very strong right now. So I want to deal with that as soon as I can. Speaking of that, it's time for diplomatic and military actions. Let's frickin' do it. We're going to do a military action. 1 to 6 upgrades this guy to target fixed. Got him. All right, now we just got to keep that luck when we roll on the table for... Now, I don't think I can add AP to any of these, right? These military actions. No, you can't spend AP. So here we're just going to this other chart. So these don't cost any AP either. So just double checking to make sure my memory is correct on these. Oh, no, this is before all of the cyber war and such. Here it is. So we're going to do a special forces raid because that is more controlled, less chance of failure. We get a -2 for those. Unfortunately, it's a level 4 terror group, so there's a +1. And there's a +1 because there's a combined total of 3 or more China or Russia influence. No, I think instead we're going to try to deal with that influence with the rest of these 3 actions. Oh. No, I think we've got to do this. -1. -1, +1, +1. So it's a straight up roll. This could go badly. We need a low roll. Thank you. Decrease the terror group by 1 level. Boo. And then move it to the gathering intel box. -1 public approval. No, hang on. I was looking at the wrong one. So that was general success. So for the last 2, we're going to try to remove influence over here. I don't like that at all. So... in order to remove influence, though, we need to get their regional alignment up. So let's do regional crises down 1 to 8. Success. Now we're going to do a diplomatic remove Chinese stuff. This is a straight 1 to 6 roll in Africa. Yes. Get rid of that Chinese. Oh, actually, the Russians are at 7. I think I missed this one earlier. Yeah. But we get rid of the Chinese. That's going to make it easier to hunt this terrorist in the future. So that's good news. The bad news is we're out of actions. I think. Yeah, we bumped them up. We did the raid. Oh, yeah, then we lowered the regional crises. And then that allowed us to remove the base because we got the regional alignment at 6. Okay. So next we go up here and bad things are going to happen, probably. Or we could get this... oh, hang on. During both national focus segments of the turn, you may use this card to perform one free intel gathering or spec ops raid with an additional -1 DRM. Okay. Then let's do an additional intel gathering over here, I guess. Success. There we go. Now we're doing this. Saudis make push into European oil market. Moscow furious at low prices and low revenue. Remove one Russian influence in either Eurozone, first priority, or Eastern Europe. Okay. But this base here, man, we can't get rid of that from now on. All right. Place 2 tension counters on both Russia and on Gulf states / Saudi Arabia. Oh, I forgot to improve their ally status the last chance I got. Remind me. Don't let me forget, chat. Oh, I only had 1 on each. I gotta add 2. Place an economy improving counter on the Eurozone and a worsening economy on Russia. They can't dig themselves out of that recession hole. All right, and then this is discarded. So card number 2. Uh-oh. Natural disaster. We already had one of those. We can't have another one. +1 domestic crisis. I can't get rid of these lingering issues either. Place 1 tensions counter on the POTUS Cabinet's focus. So we're going to have to put that here. And place a worsening economy counter on the U.S. Decide whether to spend some stuff to try to deal with the problem. So what are the situations here? America can follow your lead with a great outpouring, and then we skip through this to the next, to stage 3. Yeah, we've got a lot of APs. Let's spend 3 of them on this. That seems like the right call. All right. And then we roll and subtract 3. All right, phew. No further effects. Unfortunately, that does put it into the 2 pile. But it is what it is. So now we're going to roll again here. 1 card. Okay. Sinai Province Terror Group launches raids against army throughout Egypt. +1 regional crisis in Africa and the Middle East. Ugh. I'm spending all my time just getting rid of this 1 terror group in Africa. Add 1 level 1 terror group to each of Africa and the Middle East. That's going to boost it back up. Son of a gun. It's also going to boost one of these back up. Add 1 tensions counter to Israel. So discard that. Thanks, game. Uh-oh. A cascading event from the 2 pile. What's it going to be? Not China. Oh, the good one! Increase U.S. space warfare strategic capability by 1 box and grab an improving marker on the American economy. Space warfare, sure. Add 2 tensions counters to Russia, though. And China! Oh my god, that's terrible. I gotta have a summit with China. I gotta do it soon. Here. Before we go to China for bad things. And then public approval maxes out. And that's the only thing in the 3 deck now. All right. Now we get any 3 actions. We're going to do a summit with China before I forget to do that. I also, you know what? I need to get rid of this influence too. No, let's do the summit with China. Their tensions are way too high. All right. Summit with China. We have good relations with them, a 4. So we get to solve 3 problems. First, we're going to attempt to improve relations. And all of these use the DRM listed on the bottom. Okay. So a 9. Oh, God. 1 China influence counter in Asia Pacific or Central South Asia. All right. We'll put it here. Not that I'm... No, I'm not happy about that. I'm going to put it over here. But I am going to let it happen. We'll get a trending pro-US counter on this track. That'll make it better in the future. Now, what ways remove tensions? We can improve trade. Their economy is already really good. but I still would prefer it to be worse. Let's see. Joint anti-terror campaign. That is going to help us here in Central South Asia. That's what we should do. We might be able to use Russia to help us with the rogue state over here. So I think we're going to use it to try to do terror here in the Central South Asia. So we're going to roll and see what they demand in order for this to happen. Bonus influence in the region, +1 AP on China. Nope, we're going to refuse that one. Stabilize Central South Asia. We're going to try that one. A 3 means they are going to demand remove sanctions on China if none, place a trade, increase trade. Okay, we'll allow the trade to increase in order to get -1 regional crises in Central South Asia, remove 1 tensions from China and from each U.S. ally in the region. That's good. Or remove 1 unstable state counter from the region. We don't actually have any. So that was a mostly successful summit. That was 2 of 3, 67% approve. So we roll a die to see how the public reacts. +2 public removal and remove 1 tensions counter from China. Place a trending pro-U.S. counter on China's relations with the U.S. That's what we're talking about. See? Now when they act, they're going to do less bad stuff. That's how you keep them at the table. So that was our first of, what, 3 actions? Yes. Our first of 3 actions. So next, I do want to try to get rid of their influence in Asia Pacific. That is a straight 1 to 6 roll, which is successful. Can't do that again, though. Do we want to deal with the domestic terror situation up here? Or do we want to try for this again? All right, let's try for this again. 1 to 6. And 1 to 6 for this one in the Middle East. Oh my God, terrible. Terrible luck. Whatever we did that round would have been terrible luck. Okay, now we got to check for terror or chaos. Oh, it's 1 to 5 terrorism. Let's find out. This is just awful. We're about to get into the good times, though, and then all the good stuff's going to happen. Actually, crap, I had meant to roll an orator thing for the president. Would a 7 have done it? Would the 7 have done it? That's what we'll try to do. Holding on 1 second. All right, so yeah, let's back up a sec. I'm going to give myself a little bit of a mulligan here, because what I really wanted to remember to do was try to get a UN counter before the UN Act segment. So we're going to roll, and we automatically get it. So we'll get the UN... yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. We don't automatically get it. Back up. I was looking at the wrong one. This one here is a D10, and the 7 we rolled would have been good enough. So let's go ahead and just take it. We got the UN counter. That was a very important thing I wanted to do, in lieu of bumping up the thing there. But now terror does in fact attack. So WT1 is what we're looking for here in the chat, in the thing. When you roll terror acts, do all of the following 3 things. Increase the regional crisis in any region containing a rogue state by 1 box. Ugh, we really need to declare war on them. They're doing rogue things. In each region where there are at least 2 level 1 terror groups, remove 1 set of them and replace them with level 2. This actually makes things much easier, to be honest. It's easier now to wipe them out. Oh, we only do this 1 time, don't we? Okay, yeah. So this goes up and this one goes down. One of these goes up and the other one goes down. That doesn't apply here. And it doesn't actually apply here either. Okay, then we make a terror axe roll. And it's a D10 +1 per level 3 or 4 terror group on the map. There is 2 level 3 terror groups. Ugh. Okay, here we go. Roll low. Surprise terror planning or event. Roll a D10 to make a Homeland Security check. Passed. Randomly draw 1 new terrorism event card from the unused pile and add it to the reshuffle pile. Okay, that could have been much worse. But we get to ignore 1 because we have superstars in the NSC staff, so that's still good. So we're adding this to the reshuffle pile, which technically I think we're not supposed to look at, so I'm going to go ahead and try to bury it. There we go. Then if there's a rogue state export terror, roll a D10 to export terror. Place a -1 counter on Russia. Sometimes things work in our favor. That might be how they got that last time. Okay, that was terror acting. Stop it now. We have things to do. We can't do it if terror keeps acting. All right, now it's time for our allies to act again. D. Group D. Hopefully it's not Gulf states. Oh, it is the Gulf states. I messed it up. I didn't get them. There's just way too much to do. Hello, 80th Doctor. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I'd call it old school in design, but it is very procedural for sure. And especially, I did want to do a trade agreement and I failed it, didn't I? All right, anyway, let's see what Canada does for us. They have no tension, so they're going to do good stuff, probably. So Canada can affect the Eurozone or Central South Africa for their stability check. So why don't they try to increase stability in South Africa? Because the roll would be 1 to 5. Success. I love high stability. It's beautiful. Next, they can lower regional crises. Let's do it in the Middle East. Ah, they failed. All right, now they're going to roll on their unilateral segment. And they are, I think, going to have straight... Oh, you know what? Yeah, no, they can't help in the Con US. I forgot. I was thinking, hey, they should be able to help us with terrorists in the continental US. But no, apparently not. So they get a straight up -1 to this roll. It could be really good. It is really good. A summit. Remove 1 Russia tensions counter. That doesn't... I mean, that's okay. But, boy, it seemed like that was going to be better than that. Well, Canada's only Canada. They can only do what they do. So next up is going to be the Gulf states. However, they are only a close ally, not a very close ally. So they only get 1 action. They are going to attempt to reduce regional crises right here at home in the Middle East. Wow, these crises are really hard to solve. Then they're going to flip over their tensions counter and find out what their effect is going to be. Return all these to the draw cup and draw 1 more as it rounds down. Okay, let's see. They're going to get +1 there. The value of the track between Gulf states and Iran, half rounded down. So they're going to add +1 there, +1 there. So they're going to add a total of +2 to the roll, which is an 8. Allow increased U.S. military basing. Add 1 tensions counter to Gulf states and Iran. But add a trending pro-U.S. counter in the Middle East or remove 1 Chinese influence from the Middle East. Oh, man. Chinese influence is much harder to get than alignment rolls, I think. So let's get rid of that. Yep, that's it. All right. Then the... rogue activation. If there are no rogue states in the map... Oh... So we roll a d10, hopefully for a 6+. We got it. North Korea or Iran, whichever has more tensions counters, acts. If tied, choose randomly. So North Korea has 3, so they're the one that's going to act. So we go to Group B and check what North Korea would have done. last time. So we flip all tensions and sanctions counters. This is where they counteract each other. No effect! Stupid UN sanctions and their useless nature. Damn you. All right, what do we have for tensions? +3. So not great. So they're going to roll +3 to this. Half of the conflict track rounded up, which is 1. So they're going to have +4 now. And does it favor the DRPK? It does. So they're +6, actually. They're being crazy. That's a 13. Prepare for war. Ugh. At least it didn't trigger a war, but it might. It might in the future. Final action check, unstable states. Oh, that's in the Eurozone and Eastern Europe. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. Final action for the Canada, the Gulf states is Central South Asia has no unstable states. Asia Pacific has no unstable states. So that roll didn't do anything. Excellent. Okay. Now the UN is going to act and save the day. Do you play the game or does it play you? That's always a question with these solitaire games, isn't it, 80s Doctor? By the way, congratulations on living to have 80 iterations of yourself. That's impressive. Which future actor are you now? The grandchild of Brangelina? Or some other group? All right, UN Acts is actually built into the flip book, so we're going to go there. I think you play this game more than the game plays you, slightly. And I think that is true of few solo games in the end, because a lot of these solo games are basically story generators where you have very little input into the actual game. All right, so they make a humanitarian aid roll 1 to 8 on the place with the highest regional crisis value. That is currently the Middle East. We've tried to fix it twice now. This time, the UN succeeds. See, this is how you know this game is bullshit and not real, because the UN is actually effective. Okay, we're going to try to increase the lowest stability region. I think that's going to be South America with 5 or... Oh, no, it's going to be Central South Asia with 3. Farg. Peace talks in a civil war. Choose one civil war or civil war ceasefire in the region with the lowest stability. So that was going to be this one here. So they're going to try to do the civil war, not the civil war ceasefire. This is a U.S.-initiated UN action or it occurred during a war progress segment. Gain 1 goodwill. When would you roll on a civil war table as a result of a war progress segment? Oh, that's right. It's a separate thing after all this. Okay, anyway. So, sorry, where was I? Rolling peace talks. And peace talks mean when it's a UN action, it's automatically a -1. So the -1 means it's a 6, which means nothing happens. Now, the United States is going to attempt to get rid of this. Let's try to do this civil war, actually, right? We flip over the counter. It's a 2. So we get a -2 to this roll. Gulp. Oh, but it's a +1 to the roll. I didn't even see that. So it's a -1 total. All right. We beat this civil war also with a stick. And it's going to have regional peacekeepers. So later during the war progress segment, these are going to have a better chance of doing well. But the stability is still going to kick us in the teeth if we don't do something about that. Now, because if this was a U.S.-initiated UN action or it occurred during a war progress activation segment, gain 1 UN goodwill counter. So we get another one we can immediately spend, and I'm going to use it to try to increase stability in Central South Asia. And that's a -2. That's one of the best ways to decrease increase stability anywhere. It's going to be on a 1 to 7 now. Come on. Yeah, up to 4. Okay. That's great. Other places should also have higher stability. Like we need to get Eastern Europe up to a higher stability. But that's better than nothing. So the UN successfully did something. Now we get to do 3 domestic actions. Oops, I didn't mean to pull for that. I meant to click on this. So we get 3 domestic actions. I think we should probably deal with these terror groups. The domestic action deal with terror groups is move the terror group 1 box. Oh, we make a Homeland Security check and then pass that potentially. Oh no, is an 8 successful? It is not. We failed. No effect. All right, we're going to try it again. Success. 1 box to the right. If you move the box in the target fixed box, you make another Homeland Security check and make an immediate raid if you do that. But we're going to do locating box. Then we're going to do it again. Are you kidding me? This is my kidding face. You know what? We get to re-roll for 1 AP. I have not been using that enough. There we go. Now we get to make an immediate raid using the standard action here. Oh, we get to domestic raid as a completely different chart. Interesting. So I got to go look up the domestic raid chart. D12. I've never done this before. We haven't had any terrorists on home soil. All right. Domestic events. No. I don't know when you roll on domestic events, but domestic raid table. -1 if Homeland Security 6+, yes. -1 if Homeland Security is the number 1. It's not. Target is a 3 or 4, no. Okay, so we're hoping to get a nice low number on this. We do have a -1. A 4 is a success. Decrease the terror group by 1 level. It is so hard to kill these fuckers. Survivors scatter. Move it to the gathering intel box. I spent an entire flippin' segment just trying to deal with those guys. Ugh. And then we get 1 crisis card. I wonder if we should be trying to do other things that do that separately, but I don't know. All right. If neither of India's conflict tracks is greater than 2... That's true. Neither of them is greater than 2. China admits India and Pakistan into the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Remove 2 tensions counters from China and India. Probably for the best. That's really helpful, actually, getting rid of a lot of those Chinese tension markers. Ignore any game instruction to increase the India-China or India-Pakistan conflict tracks for the rest of the turn. Leave this face up as a reminder. Oh, or is the other thing if the bad. Okay, got it. So that's great. That's the only one we had to pull there. Now it's a war progress track. We don't have any wars because we didn't declare war on this rogue state like we probably should have done. Disappointing, but it is what it is. But we do have to check all of these civil wars, which are now all at ceasefires. And all of them have UN peacekeepers. So that means they all have a -2, but this one has a +1 because the regional stability is less than 5. So let's do these one at a time. So this is a -2 to the roll. Beautiful. Permanent peace. Remove civil war ceasefire counter. Decrease regional crises in the area by 1. And if this was a UN or occurred during a war progress activation segment and you spent 1 AP, I can spend 1 AP? Why didn't anybody tell me I could spend 1 AP? I'll spend that next time. Next time I'll spend that to help make these things go away. The fewer of these damn civil wars there are, the worse the consequences at the end. War progress doesn't say anything about APs, but I guess I got to scroll down to the actual war progress thing. For each civil war, applying the applicable DRMs. Or if you spent 1 AP. I don't understand. And you spent 1 AP. That implies that we can spend 1 AP during a war progress, but I'll show you guys what I'm looking at here. I'm looking at this stupid flipbook. Down here, it says if this was a US-initiated UN action, it wasn't, or it occurred during a war progress activation segment and you spent 1 AP, gain a goodwill counter. But nowhere, or if you spend 1 AP. Okay, I guess that's what's supposed to imply, that you can spend 1 AP. But during a UN, you can spend an AP or a UN goodwill in order to trigger multiple things. So, okay, we're going to spend an AP for the next one just so that we can try to get a UN goodwill counter out of it. And that gave us a -3 total, which just barely keeps us at a fragile peace. All right, for this one, we'll also spend 1 AP. Oh, we didn't need to. But because it is successful, we are going to get another UN goodwill counter out of it for the future. And that one is going away. All right. Civil wars are slowly going away. We have few-ish unstable states, but so many damn terrorists. So many terrorists. And there's another level 4 down here. Oh, God. Okay, what's next? Any 4 diplomatic or military operations? Well, Jesus Christ. Gulp. Let us try to lower Chinese tensions further, maybe? Oh, you know what? We need to deal with this DPRK ROK situation. Let's go ahead. Diplomatic, attempt to, what is it, number 2 here? De-escalate a conflict. That's what we need to do. -1 from our Secretary of State, and if they are involved, minus their rating. So it's just -1 to the roll. And we're hoping for a 1 to a 2. Whoa! No effect. All right, well, we can keep doing that. Or, you know what? We could re-roll that. I keep forgetting that we can re-roll, but we have so much AP, we're definitely re-rolling that. Decrease conflict track by 1 box. Great. We're going to try that same action again. And we're going to re-roll it again. And that's a decrease the box and place a trending pro-US counter in the region of the countries involved. Can do. And remove 1 tensions counter from every country involved, +1 public approval. Okay. That's good, because DPRK, so the ROK is not happy right now. And I don't want them to make things worse. So I think what I'm going to do with my 3rd action is simply remove 2 tensions counters from them. And then with my 4th action, I'm going to try to improve my relationship with the Gulf states. No. That's going to improve on its own. We already passed them. It's the last diplomatic action I'm going to get here. I can't do a summit because I did that here. I did a China summit here. I think we should use this to try to boost our intel in 2 places. So we're going to first try it in Africa 1 to a 6. We're going to next try it in Africa 1 to a 6. All right, at least we got that guy up there. But boy, they're going to turn into a rogue state, man. I got to get those guys down. Got to murder them. Got to destruct their everything. I don't think you can do a cyber attack against terror groups. You can do it against rogue states, but not terror groups. Okay, now we check the state of the economy, which allows us to improve ally relationships or add trending pro-US counters. So I think we're going to do regional alignment here in Eastern Europe and regional alignment in the Middle East to try to boost that up 1 box. And then we get all the other benefits here, which we have maxed out. Relations with Congress, we get 2 APs. That's the main thing that we get here. All right, that's the end of our first half of the 2nd year. And we're going to begin next time with China acting. Luckily, their tensions are very low. Unluckily, they will get 9 actions to do. So they're going to have slightly weaker actions. Actually, 8 actions because their relations with us are good. Their actions aren't going to be as strong. Many of the actions say take 2 of the, do 1 espionage, 2 if you're at posture 2, and blah blah blah. But yeah, is what it is. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll pick this up again tomorrow at 10. Have a good one. 10 a.m. Eastern Time.